All right, the pick is in, and it is Jayden Daniels, the quarterback going off the board to the Washington Commanders. So now the draft really begins because this is what a lot of us all anticipated was going to be the case. So Jayden Daniels now officially a Washington Commander. Debro, your thoughts on this selection here?
Thor and I called this in February. If people were listening to the draft show, this was the first episode that dropped, and we told you to bet the line for Jayden Daniels to be the second overall pick. We said to bet him, he's going to the Commanders. If you bet it then, congrats. It was plus money when it opened. I'm loving it.
All right. Let's continue on here with now where the draft starts to really shake out because do the Patriots stay at 3? Do they make a change here? That is going to be, the history of the Patriots. It tells us that they always trade back. Well, they're in a unique position because Bill Belichick, for the first time in decades, is not running the ship here. So Andrew Erickson is sweating things out in the green room. But before we get to the next pick, a fun poll going up here right now. Who wins early best dressed award for tonight on this show? Is it Derek Brown, myself, Thor, or Andrew Erickson? Debro wins the poll. 50% of the people think Derek Brown is the best dressed person. I came in second at 36. Thor came in at 9%, which the rustic look is still very much in certain Midwestern areas. But who are the 4% that thought Erickson was the best dressed in his t-shirt? Erickson's whole family on the stream tonight. What's that? Don't show me the guns in the ground.
Erickson's texting family members to vote for him.
I mean, come on. 4%? Should be 1% on there. Demand a recount on this. All right. Jayden Daniels is the selection, the LSU quarterback. So we always talk about the bright side of things, Thor. What are the downsides here when it comes to Jayden Daniels? What could be his potential undoing here as you look to, I mean, it's always sunshine and roses here, but when it comes to Jayden Daniels, what could potentially be a hurdle for him in this landing spot of Washington?
Well, the risk is that it was the 1 year where he became the superstar out of 5, right? That and I try to give him the benefit of the doubt and tell people about the context, which is he comes in out of high school. He was the face of the franchise that was brought in at Arizona State for Herm Edwards' program there. Antonio Pierce helped lead the charge to get him in there. Antonio Pierce right now has left the Raiders war room and is crying in a bathroom stall trying to collect himself. He'll be back in a second, but he just needs to have a second. The Raiders weren't going to have access to Jayden Daniels despite some of that different stuff. But by the third season at Arizona State, that's where the scandal happened. There was all that stuff swirling. There was a bunch of coaches had to get fired. Then people started transferring out. That was the year where Jayden Daniels badly regressed, goes to LSU. First year, he fixed some stuff, stopped putting the ball up for grabs, was careful with the ball. This past year, that's where you saw the explosive element with his game, the quietness within the pocket, which in contrast to his time at Arizona State, when there was some times where he was like, you'd see the panic really quickly, or you'd see the gears churning in his mind. That's when his physical skill set was playing down because he wasn't making the correct decision, or he was preoccupied with the pass rush, whatnot. It's a contextual thing, being the sort of 1 year wonder when you jumped up, but again, was a high ranked recruit who started for 5 years in college. The other thing that people bring up, this process, the pressure to sack rate was a very popular talking point. Jayden Daniels got quite a bit of discussion on that because his pressure to sack rate was not particularly good the past couple of years. We have brought up the context of how those sacks occurred for him, which was a bit different than some of these other guys. I mentioned his game as he senses the pass rush really well right now, and he does a good job manipulating the space in the pocket. And he's going through the progression. He won't pull it until he has to, until he feels like, okay, it is not there. Then when he pulls it, like I said, he's running. That's one thing we have to work on, because opposing defensive coordinators, if he does not, they will put it in their scouting report every single week for their starting defenders. When that kid pulls the ball down, peel off your assignment. He's not going to throw. But so that thing is a more minor thing. But when he would do the pull down thing and start to go forward, sometimes it was a little bit too late. And so he would get up a couple yards and then he would get sacked there. The sack yards that he accrued with the sacks that he took was equivalent to a guy that took 25% more sacks than he did in terms of the rote yardage. But it needs to be mentioned nonetheless, because I do think that calculator, it's gotten a lot better, certainly with denoting the pass rush and the spacing and the manipulating the pocket up to that point. But I think that there's still some work that could be done of the exact second that now we're going to take off. And like I said, doing stuff to keep the defense off balance a little bit up. Every time we pull the ball down, it's not just shooting upfield. But I will say, this kid enters the NFL. He will be one of the 5 most dangerous scramblers that we have ever seen in the NFL at that position from day one. He is that element of his game is absolutely legit, and it is difficult to load up to try to take it away because he'll just throw the ball over your head, as the SEC found out last year, both with Brian Thomas and then to a lesser extent Neighbors, who was doing stuff all over the field.